And we are live. How are you today, Crazy?
Not too bad, not too bad. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. It's nice and quiet in the market, so things are a bit boring, but boring is good.
Boring is good. Um, Actually, one of the things I did want to mention is, hey everyone, welcome to the stream. First of all, I'm back from vacation from sunny Florida. Believe me, I wish I was still there. But vacations only last for so long. Good things eventually come to an end. But one thing that's not coming to an end is this Bitcoin bull run cycle. Thank goodness we are just beginning. And today we are going to be discussing what is on everybody's mind, happening in a couple of weeks, actually 15 days, depending on where you're looking, depending on the block, is the Bitcoin halving. So that's exciting times.
Yeah, very. I'm very curious to see if this cycle will rhyme with other cycles or be something different this time with all the different equity in the market.
Yeah, I'm curious myself actually as well, especially with the institutional money because of the ETFs. But I guess we'll see how it goes, and we will also hear what the panel has to say because, as always, they have insightful information. And we have a full roundtable tonight, which is awesome to see. I guess we should just get right to it.
Well, they're not showing up on my end to add them to the stream yet. So,
Okay, well that's fine. Actually, I wanted
are, are,
to.
are you seeing them on your side?
No, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
Um,
let's chat a little bit.
yeah, well, actually, I do want to go on the Bitcoin countdown screen just to see exactly what we're looking at. So it has bumped up a little bit. So now it's 16 days, 17 hours before the halving. So April 21st is the estimated time, depending on block, like I said. So 16 days. So we're looking at just over 2 weeks. It's exciting. I can't wait for that.
Yes, very. We do got chart here.
Now, just so everyone knows, the last week has been, kind of a red market. I'm just looking at the crypto bubbles now, and almost everything is in the red. There's a couple outliers like WIF, Jupe, and Bitcoin Cash, believe it or not. But everything else is pretty much in the red. Not very much. I mean, we're talking anywhere from 1 to 10, 11% is what I'm seeing. But that's typical. And everyone was waiting for the major crash to come, the pre-halving dip or dump, as they like to call it. And I mean, we still may get more. The reason the markets have been in the red the last 3 days, especially, is because of grayscale dumping as usual. They've been dumping this whole week a lot, actually, for the first time pretty much since the ETFs were launched. We've had a couple of days in the row of negative inflows, which means more sell off by Grayscale than there was buying by BlackRock and Fidelity and the like. So that's pretty much the only reason for this. I don't know. I believe they have 50% left in their bags, Grayscale, and apparently what's going to happen is they're going to slowly dump the rest of that. I don't know what's going on there. But you know what? I wish they would just hurry up and get rid of what they're holding because they are hurting the market more than anything. But as for the pre-halving dump, I don't think it's going to happen as in like previous cycles. And people have to remember, we were at 73,000 just a couple of weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and we dipped all the way down to 64, depending on what exchange, 64 and change, even almost 63. So if you think about it, that's a pretty good dump. I mean, it did take a little bit of time to get there. It was a gradual dump over a few days. But if you look at the actual drop in percentage, I mean, that could qualify as our pre-having dump. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, yeah. It's curious. It makes me very curious seeing all this. We got chart here, so we can just and crypto cruiser. So when Juan shows up, we can just add him to the stream if he's able to. So I'll
Okay.
transition us over there. Um, Hello, gentlemen. How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing
What's up,
well.
fellas? How you guys doing?
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so where were we there, Cruiser? You were talking about inflows and outflows with these ETFs and everything on schedule for.
Yep, everything on schedule for the halving, which has been
Yes.
increased up to 16 days. I gave my take on it. Dip, what about you? What do you see happening in the next 2 weeks?
In the next 2 weeks, I see a lot of attempted shakeouts and volatility due to positioning of whales and their funds. I do believe the next big thing we're going to see in the crypto market is a transfer to self custody from ETF holders. And yeah, so we'll see, right? It's a lot of volume and equity sitting in those ETFs that will transfer over to the market, and then I do believe we'll start seeing a more traditional style bull market where we get the trickle down effect of liquidity and everything else.
From the big boys down to the smaller alts and stuff like that.
Yes, but we can't discount the big boys that are already in the space right now, just waiting and positioning, right? So
Mhm. Yep, no, absolutely. Um, Sorry to put you guys on the spot real quick about what's happening and the happening. I will start with Chart, and then we'll get Crypto Cruisers thoughts. So, Chart, give us kind of your thought on the market currently. Where do you see the trend going, and what do you think happens in the next 2 weeks leading up to the halving?
Um, First of all, it's always good to be with you guys, right? And I'm looking forward to every week, just hanging out with you guys and talking about crypto, and it fills my week up. So I'm looking forward to always the chat.
Appreciate it.
Um, the most important thing about where we are right now is just to watch the market in terms of um, bullishness over the next 2 weeks. Um, for me, the most important thing is to kind of get a feel for the market right now, because you talked about there's a possibility of a dump, right? There's normally a dump prior to a halving. Now we haven't experienced a full dump, right? We didn't experience like a market wide dump to say like a $48,000 level. It was fairly bullish, right, from the moment we hit 70, I think, to about now. So it's almost like about a couple weeks, almost 3 weeks since then. And maybe this is the lull we will all be always waiting for, right? We're trying to experience something like this. And if we get this bullish momentum going forward, I think it's good to kind of get the feel for, what's going to happen next, because we are like in uncharted territory at this point. We've always had a dump before the halving, and then a run up, and then we have the bull market. And if this is a 3-year cycle, um, everything's going to be new, right? Everything's going to be a new experience for us. So let's see what happens. I'm a firm believer that this year is the bull market year. I think we're going to see a massive run up very, very soon. Whether it's through the halving or not, I'm not sure, but there will be fireworks really, really soon, especially with the tether dominance falling on a large scale, and it's going to free fall pretty soon, lower than 3.8%. So I'm really looking forward to that happening sooner than later.
Same. I did have a question, since you really follow the USDT dominance and stables in general, and recently USDT has printed on 2 separate occasions 1 billion tokens, well, stable tokens, I guess you call it, on 2 different occasions. So 1 billion each time, and then USDC as well, about a 250,000. So what do you make of that? Do you think they're printing for people to load up on Bitcoin and other crypto, or do you feel that they're loading up so that people are going to stable up?
So I think that's new liquidity, right? So anytime they print any new stable coins, that means there is a demand for liquidity, which is always a good thing. So whenever there's a demand for liquidity, people need stable coins in order to use to purchase other crypto. Whether or not it's Bitcoin or the majors, we don't know. Practically, the dominance for Bitcoin tells us a story whether or not that's going to happen. Like we talked about before, if it reaches a level anywhere north of 56% dominance, we will normally see a huge spike in Bitcoin price, while altcoins will kind of die out for the moment. So yeah, it's very, very bullish to see more Tether being printed, because that's going to be used to buy other cryptos as well.
Beautiful. Now, just Crypto Cruiser, what are your thoughts on the upcoming halving, and what do you feel the market is going to be doing leading up to the 2 weeks?
Well, the halving can't come quick enough, if you ask me. And it almost seems like the market has gone a little stale, in the sense that I think, and from what I gather, there's a lot of uncertainty around it, because there's so many new people in the crypto space this year, compared to when the last halving came around. Um, and a lot of people don't know what to think of what's going to happen when this halving occurs, and it's kind of toying with the market. It's you look at it, and we've got multiple tokens of in the same categories, that where you get some of them are having red days, other are having green days, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. So it's I think it's the market's confusing a lot of people, and people are confusing the market at the same time.
I think that's just simply some projects are busier than others with, whether they have launches or whatever, what have you. Just like Solana right now.
Sure, there's underlying reasons.
Yeah, the meme coin season is still going, and Solana is still going strong. But there's two ways to shake out the market, and whenever markets get too heated, like the fear and greed index, we were, in extreme greed over 90. It was really, really crazy. And even though we haven't really dumped all that much, and it's been a slow, steady decline, we've come all the way down to 72 on the fear and greed, which is nice to see. So there's two ways to shake out the market. One, you can have those extreme dumps and people panic sell, and the other way is to be completely boring. People get bored, they exit their positions, and I take this way personally, because when you have quick flash crashes like that, you get pretty much every coin across the board dumping. Whereas when you have the slow decline, followed by price action kind of going sideways, and you shake people out from boredom, you get the outliers, the good projects that still continue to build and price still going up. So I much prefer that, and this way, it seems to have worked. The fear and greed index has come down. The markets are boring, and people are really looking forward to, like you said, getting the halving out of the way. And then once that happens, traditionally we have a week or two or a few after the halving where you're not really sure what the market wants to do. Sometimes it even goes down a little further, but then it's to the moon and things take off, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. Dip, have we do we have Juan in yet, or is he not here?
No, I'm not seeing him yet.
Okay.
Keeping my eye open.
Okay, no problem. Now, I did want to speak to chart. I wasn't able to really get into things last week because, as I had mentioned, I was in sunny Florida enjoying my awesome vacation. But I did want to get a take this week. I believe it's the NFT NYC, the New York conference that's going on for NFTs. And then Stylist from DGens is there. And I'm sure you've spoken to her a little bit about that. I heard a little bit on today's Spaces. So why don't you give us an update on what's going on there in New York City?
Well, it was actually pretty cool to see her represent our project and to talk about community building and what it entails to actually, partake in that endeavor, because it's a very, very difficult thing to do, especially from the ground up, when you really don't have any funding, when you really don't have any hype. You're just taking on a project from literally zero, and to build something and to create something and to kind of foster like a community effect along with everything that comes along with it is very difficult. So she talked about that a bit, and she said that it was very interesting to see the kind of vibe this conference gave out, because prior to the first bull run year, which is 21 into 22, it was centered around just hype, right? New tools, new things, like shiny new object effect. And so everybody was there. And then last year was a little bit different because it was centered around actual utility and integration and so on and so forth. This year, because we're going through a bear market in NFT land, it was very anticlimactic. It was very almost sad to see that people that are only there are there for actual utility, right? Yeah. The NFT tool, how it's being used, what kind of application you can have within the NFT world. And so it's very informative if you are there to build, right? If you're there to actually create a community, create a tool set for communities to use and applications. It's amazing to have something like that and to witness, speakers and founders talk about these different things. But as in terms of hype and things that were like last year or the year before, it's not even close. So it's actually good to see who's still out there, right? It's kind of like who survived the bear market situation, and keep an eye on those kinds of projects. Keep an eye on founders that are still pushing through this kind of bear market, because it's really, really important to see it through, right? Because like I said in my space today, liquidity will find itself in the projects that are there and still there and pushing and created a community and create and kind of like seeded a community that will pay it forward, right? It will onboard more holders, more NFT buyers, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this comes forward, because it's a very, very long bear market, and we're not going to see any positivity until probably at the tail end of this year. So
it's definitely a true testament to the strong projects that they continue to build and get better over the bear market, and then when the bull market comes, they usually reap the rewards from that. So I agree with that.
Exactly. And it's pretty sad when you look around the Solana NFT landscape just to see where things are. And so in terms of floor price, Solana NFT projects are down big, like 95%, 99%. But it doesn't mean anything, right? Like, you can't focus on those things. Those things are just market controlled. People will be selling and buying for many different reasons. So the focus should be on community building applications, building things that your holders will like to do and use, maybe collect. OK Bears is a very good example of that. They're working on a whole bunch of other things Web2 related, but in terms of holders, they created this application that you can use to collect different traits and different furs and a whole bunch of little things. You get these badges, like accomplishment badges, and so that's a little bit rewarding. You're also getting tickets to use in raffles, kind of like what we have in DGens. We have these tokens we use as well. So engagement is very, very important for communities, and I think those who do it well will foster that community effect.
Before we move on here, it looks like we've got Mr. Ashla Dragon here, so I will bring him in. Hopefully he's paying attention to join us here.
He's late.
Hey guys.
Hello,
Hi.
Your camera's off.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up late. Better late than never. Now, I'm not sure what else you had to mention there, Dip, but I do want to go over a few current prices. Like Bitcoin currently sitting at 68,330, up 3% on the day. XRP at 59%, 59 cents, 2.6 on the day, which is very interesting because today XRP announced, XRP, the stablecoin, is going to be launching a stablecoin. Now, I see the irony in that. I'm not sure if anyone else was lost on them, but I'm not sure exactly what they plan on doing with it. I mean, having a stablecoin or USDC version is, it could be bullish. It did show up on the chart today. It had a nice, huge green candle, which came back down in traditional XRP fashion. But I just wonder if you guys have any insights or any comments on XRP launching a stablecoin.
Well, I was starting to think XRP itself was a stablecoin, the way it's been moving, and actually seeing it hit $1 would be very surprising. But I don't know. I don't really see the point in them releasing a stable coin. There are stable coins pegged to the US dollar. Every exchange has them. Unless they want to actually start becoming more involved with the crypto community instead of banks.
Well,
what's the point?
See, I think the counter argument to that is, I think the reason they're doing it is to be more tied to banks, because the XRPL is growing. I'm on the XRPL. I check it out often. There's a lot of different airdrops, a lot of different things going on in the XRPL. But the one thing they don't have is a stablecoin. So I think that's the entire reason. a lot of the XRPL community was saying, wish we had a stable coin. It'd be easier to use a stable coin to buy into these, different projects, the airdrops, the different things that they have on the XRPL. And I think that's the reason they're doing it, so that people don't have to use their XRP. They can use their stable coin.
CBDC.
Well, it could be the Dora 2 one. We'll have to wait and see. Gentlemen, what about you guys? Cruiser, do you have any thoughts on that, or did you even hear about that?
Yeah, and like I said, an hour or so before the stream, exactly what Dip just said. I kind of look at XRP as a stable coin now, and it's just not doing much of anything. And I did just read a little bit up on why they're launching the stablecoin, and as Ripple explains it, it's to bridge the gap between crypto and traditional finance. But really, yeah, I'm just not. I don't know. Maybe there's a use for it, but I've kind of lost my spark for XRP. I've been sitting on it for so long.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Even Jenna X, who was an XRP maxi, she's put out a couple of videos lately saying they don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. So just go about your business. Don't be holding on. Marrying any one chain. XRP being the one in her rant, and a lot of people are agreeing with her. A lot of people are getting fed up with it.
Well, that's just the thing. You shouldn't be married to any project at all, right? When it comes down to people running a business, the bottom line is their profit margin, and they're going to focus where their profits are coming from. So having a bunch of holders in the crypto market and no new liquidity coming in, yeah, they're going to be focusing on banks and everything else. I just hope they don't forget the roots, honestly.
Yeah.
It's, so that's a lesson for everyone, even if you're not an XRP holder. Like, don't forget to take profits, especially in a bull run. You're going to have major volatility, and you need to treat yourself. Like, don't watch your value go up through the roof and then all the way back down. Like, reward yourself, take some off the top, and
absolutely
it's better for them.
And you made a comment there about XRP and XRP as a company or as a project not acknowledging their investors or not treating them properly. I think that's the way Ripple and XRP has been right from the start. They've never hid anything, and it was never a secret that their main intention is to be cross-border payments and work with the banking system. They don't they're not anything they do. Any updates they bring, any additions to the XRPL or XRP in general, has nothing to do with satisfying the investors or making the investors happy. It's all strategic. Everything they do, there's a reason behind it, and it's certainly not to make XRP holders any money. That they don't care about that. They care about the end goal. They have a tunnel vision. They know exactly what they want to become, and that's their goal. And that's every move they make is to that end goal. That has nothing to do with investors. Just the way it is. Sad truth.
Yeah, and I think you're right on there too. Especially one of the most disappointing parts of it, for me personally, because I'm not an Ethereum fan at all, and in that in the release I read from Ripple, it did say that they'd be releasing the stablecoin on the Ethereum network, starting out, and then eventually to other networks. But for what it's being used for, I'm not going to be involved anyway, so it doesn't much matter. But
it's most likely because they want to capture the liquidity pool market.
Right. Yeah.
They're trying to not even use their own blockchain. Right. They're trying to use the Ethereum blockchain for this method. Then for sure it's liquidity pools.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any other reason. They have the infrastructure for their own blockchain, which is amazing, by the way. I've used it many times, and it settles so quickly. Yeah. So why not use it there? If you really wanted to incentivize people to use the blockchain and use the platform, of course you have it on Ripple. You started it off with Ripple, but I think they're greedy in that sense. They just want to capture the market at this point, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually, because the AMM launched not too long ago, and if you look at the LPs on the XRPL, they don't have a stablecoin. You're right; they don't have their own stable, so that could be one of the biggest reasons. Yeah.
All I can keep thinking is that XRP is a stable coin. XRP is a stable coin. It's hard to separate it because, and it's not to be rude. It's really not to be rude. I know I talked to Crypto Crazy, probably over a year before even the lawsuit was finished. Going, everything about this is just starting to feel like a stable coin. Like, are they just going to try and use it as a CBDC worldwide to do bank transfers and currency transfers and everything else? And
well, the worst part is they're not even a stable coin pegged to $1, for fuck's sake.
they're a stable coin pegged to the Canadian dollar.
Not even.
Oh.
Haven't even got to the Canadian dollar yet.
Yeah. If there is anybody in the chat, there is a giveaway going on, and this goes for our guests here as well. If you put an exclamation point Roundtable into the chat, it'll enter you for a giveaway for Satoshi Nakamoto travel mug. So
sweet. Can I enter?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's open to everyone. It doesn't look like we've got anyone viewing right at the moment, but I just accidentally entered, so testing out the bot.
Well.
So when I drop that mug, would that be considered a Bitcoin halving?
You drop the mug?
Well, it might. If you smash it,
It will be a quartering or more than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you'd end up with shards, and
Right.
sharding isn't that bad.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Now, gentlemen, I'll weigh in really quickly on this as well.
Let's go ahead.
To a lot of your points, XRP, like really any coin, is in it to make more money. They do not care at all how many people are pissed off as long as their profit margins increase. Why they're doing this, no one truly knows. We can speculate for days, but at the end of the day, we're never going to find out. But I really am baffled by the decision.
I think most are.
And I'm not sure where their heads are at.
I mean, a chart might have hit it right on the head there. It's simply because of the AMM that they just launched, and without a stable coin, especially one of your own, what good are your liquidity pools without it? You almost have to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I just went back and looked at the release again, and they do specifically mention liquidity pools 3 different times in that release. So that's clearly what they're after there.
Yeah, then it's 1,000% liquidity pools at that point.
Yeah. So it makes a little more sense now, but it's just something should happen with it.
Yeah, it's probably hit right on. Exactly
before I sell more of it.
Well,
honestly, you should be selling it anyway, right? Because your timeline for our XRP run is usually a year. So you have a year to figure yourself out before you make any money on our XRP, especially in a bull run. So yeah, I would definitely hedge against that.
Well, we can knock XRP all we want, but one thing it certainly has been is a hedge against inflation because it's slowly crept up with inflation. So, I mean, that's one good use for it.
So wait a minute, you're telling me XRP gives you about a 4% APR?
Yeah, about that. Well, more in the last year and a half, it's been more like 9%. But yeah,
that's actually decent. So yeah, that's a way better hedge against inflation.
Yeah. Still better than the stock market, narrowly, not by much.
No, it isn't even that.
Are you saying that I need to take my winnings of this bull run and put it all in XRP?
Bart, I can guarantee you, if you do anything of the kind, you will bleed money long term. If you wish to willingly increase your chances of losing money, proceed. But if not,
hey, hold on a second. They're actually doing a liquidity pool. That's all I need to know, right? I'm gonna pull all of my winnings as a stable coin, and then I'll get a whole bunch of XRP and put it in there, and then make a whole bunch of money this way. So yeah, I think that's going to be a good idea.
You know, I know you were only joking, but you actually made a point there, a good point there, because one of the best things that you can have in a liquidity pairing is a pairing that doesn't move very much, kind of ranges. That way you don't go out of range. You're always collecting those fees. So that's a brilliant idea. An XRP USDC on the XRP liquidity pool. Love it. Love it. I'm putting it on.
Let's do it. Let's absolutely do it. If it pays 9%, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, if this is what it's all for, it's probably a good thing, and people are actually going to take the time and contribute to the space. Maybe they'll put more effort into their NFTs, liquidity pools, everything else, and then they'll have their token on their platform that they can move liquidity around with. But until that happens, I've kind of lost hope.
I mean, XRP is in a 5-year or 6-year drawdown. So, you know, effectively from that $3 mark, it's been in a downturn since then. But, you know, one thing I do remember about XRP is when liquidity comes, it comes as a monsoon. Everybody stops what they're doing and they're buying XRP. So I know it sucks to wait, but eventually there will be that run. And when it happens, just go all in. It's much easier to do that.
Yeah.
Well, the remaining liquidity that I have in XRP is pretty much money written off. It's just set it and forget it. So I'm not even going to worry about it. Whenever that pump day comes, I'll rejoice. But until then, I've got the rest of my bag to worry about. So I'm not too concerned.
But Crypto Crazy, notably, when we started the stream, you were like, what is it, 70-30 XRP maxi? What is it now? 20-80, maybe 10-90?
1090.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Well,
that's a huge change.
When we started this stream, I had a massive bag of XRP too, and then we had the lawsuit go, and the action didn't pick up aside from the news from the lawsuit, and that was my sign. Take some profits while the going's good, and like Chart was just saying, if something else moves, then just jump in later, but have my liquidity somewhere where I'm actually going to earn off of it, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, enough about the stablecoin, affectionately known as XRP. Let's continue with our halving conversation, because I did ask you guys what you thought was going to happen in the next 2 weeks leading up to the halving. Now I want to know from everybody, including you, Dip. I'll let you go last though. What do you feel is going to happen post halving and beyond for the remainder of 2024? We'll start with you, Chart.
So in previous years, right, previous cycles, there was always a run up right after the halving. So if we have, I'll give you an example. 2020 was an anomaly, right? We had that massive COVID drop. Immediately it was bought up, and then we were brought back to a level that was normal. And then we got into the halving, which was, I think, in May of 2020. And, we treaded pretty well, hit an EMA and bounced right off the EMA, and we went into the bull run. Okay. Prior to that, we had the halving July 2016. And again, we kind of went into the halving with a little bit of a run, and then we had a drop right after that. And then we coasted for about a couple months, right into the middle of the summer. We bounced off of some EMAs, and we had the bull run start. So there is sort of a pattern happening all the time, right? But like I said to you before, these are 4-year cycles, and we're not in a 4-year cycle. At least I don't think we are. And so we got to look at everything a little bit differently, right? One of the most important things is where is the price action when it comes to these EMAs, right? Is it going to bounce off the EMAs? Is it going to have kind of like a nice support for the liquidity grow, and then we have a spike right into the end of the bull run? The issue with all of that is those EMAs are so far away from price action, actually well below price actions. There's no bouncing effect on those things. So that leads me to think that we're actually closer to that crazy run than we think. And most likely what is going to happen is our little lull, our little drop already has happened, and I think we're gonna spike really, really soon, and it's gonna take everyone by surprise. And our first moment of clarity to be the top will be somewhere in the middle of the summer, like June, July, and then we'll have like a couple months in the summer of people just selling and taking profit, and most likely into August we'll have that, and then we'll have another run up of 3 or 4 weeks through September, and then most likely we'll finish the year around October, November, with the last possible spike into like max liquidity. Retail coming in, people taking that liquidity and moving into NFTs or liquidity pools, things like that. So
you're saying August will be the Bitcoin top, and then after that,
it normally, like, September is one of the worst months of the year for everything, including stock market. So the other thing about every year is, they usually say sell in May and walk away or something like that.
Yeah,
that's exactly what
I don't know if that's gonna. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen this time around. Just because, like you said, while the ETF is happening, that liquidity hasn't had a trickle down yet. We haven't had any retail yet come in and buy up any of the tops yet. And looking at all these charts, we're way at the bottom. We're just approaching the heavy EMAs, the heavy resistances on daily and weekly charts. So we have a long way to go. And that's why I think if Bitcoin shows any strength right now in the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to have explosions everywhere, like everywhere along the board. So hopefully you're catching the right sector at the right time, because there's going to be multiples to be had.
Agreed. One thing I'm finding really weird about this cycle is, one, the obvious is that we reached a new all-time high pre-halving, which is unheard of. Bitcoin's never done that before. And the other thing is, we all know that's institutional money. So what's crazy is that when Bitcoin did reach all-time high, you hear a few people in the real world talking about it. I've had a few people at work asking me about it and stuff like that, but we still haven't seen the real retail in the market yet. So the new activated wallets, they're going up a little bit, but nothing like you see in a bull market. So with Bitcoin reaching an all-time high and retail still not quite in, there's a little bit of hesitation. I'm not sure exactly why, but fear and greed obviously did reach really, really high levels because of people that have been in throughout the entire bear market. Of course, we're going to be ecstatic because Bitcoin reached an all-time high. But a couple of months ago, I was kind of in the same camp as you. I thought the bull run will, it'll really take off after the halving. May, June, July will be it'll just be amazing. August, we might start seeing a cool off. September is traditionally a bad month. Maybe that would be a bit of a mid-cycle correction, and then, maybe a last leg up after that. But this time I'm not so sure. I'm going to wait and see, keep following the new activated wallets and see what retail is doing. But the later it takes retail to get in, the longer this bull cycle is going to be. And I can actually see it play out where, the end of the year comes, there might be a little bit of a lull time like there normally is around Christmas, and then the new year when you've got the, people tax harvesting and stuff like that. But I think the bull market might actually continue into the spring of 2025. Really good, because the institutions are going to continue to come in. I think, there's a lot of institutions out there that are not in yet. They're still waiting on the sidelines, and they're going to enter, and that's just going to, extend the cycle. So I'm not a believer of the super cycle, but I think with institutional money and the late addition to retail money is going to extend this bull market just a little bit.
Okay, and a couple of points I want to make, if you guys don't mind. I actually believe this bull market has the potential to last longer than any bull market has ever lasted in crypto. A couple of reasons why. First off, a lot of retail, to your earlier point, Crazy, isn't getting in anytime soon, because the mainstream economy right now has been destroyed. The cost of living, especially in your homeland of Canada, is bloody abysmal. It is abysmal. It is a sin. Like, in America, we're noticing. You guys are bleeding. And bad, I'd assume. Do I have that assumption right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. With that said, though, it's a blessing for the bull market, because the earlier point, retail gets in later. When retail gets in, that's when bull markets typically begin to decline. The longer that takes to occur, the longer the bull market exists. And however, I must still also stress the other point that I have. I truly do believe that this year is going to be the year of the breakout, where Bitcoin finally hits that fabled 100K and upwards. Because all the experts have been ranting and raving about Bitcoin hitting $250,000, $500,000, $1 million by 2030. Do I think it will hit 1 million? No. Straight the fuck up, no. Never. Pardon my language, but I don't think it will. But I do honestly think that we could see 100K in this bull run, especially if November, may God Almighty will, Trump wins against Biden. Because what will happen then is hope and revitalization of the U.S. economy on a scale hitherto for undreamt of, for lack of better words. So as long as a certain few things continue, this bull market is going to outlast any other bull market.
Well, doesn't happen very often, Ash, but I do agree with you completely there, except for the 100,000. I believe 100,000 is the minimum this bull cycle. Minimum. We've already hit 73, and we haven't even seen the euphoric phase yet. So 100,000 is minimum, but everything else I agree. The economy has kind of stagnated at the beginning of this bull market, so that has something to do with it, with the retail not quite getting in. But yeah, I do agree.
It could hit as high as $250,000 this bull cycle, technically. I agree it could go well over 100. But the point is, I had a cousin ask me, hey, do you notice the bull market's already beginning to decline because he saw Bitcoin go down 5%? I laughed and looked at him and said, son, the bull market has barely begun. Because it has barely begun.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, good things are coming. Very
good. Cruiser, what are your thoughts?
Well, I kind of agree with a lot of it and disagree with some of it. Now, Ashley made the comment about the economy. I think that's certainly going to prolong the bull market, prolong the tops. Really, it's going to take longer to get there than what we see in the past. And I mean, on the Canadian side of the border, if we survive long enough to see the new year, who knows if this country will, who knows what's going to happen in this country in the next 8 months. But I think the bull market will get extended into next year because it's going to take longer to really take off. And a lot of that does have to do with the economy everywhere around the world. And I'm kind of hoping, for myself and for anybody else that wants to get in, that there is one more good dump, either before or immediately after the halving. Throw a few more dollars in and beef up the bags and get ready for the run. But a lot of uncertainty. I've got mixed feelings on what what to expect. But I do think it will be an extended bull market. But I'm not at the same time convinced that that things are going to go as high as people are hoping or expecting. Sure, Bitcoin will hit 100,000. I have no doubts about that. I'm just not sure how much higher it'll go. Will it hit 150? Maybe 250? I think that's a stretch.
Ash pointed out that the U.S. elections are coming this fall. Now, unfortunately, up here in Canada, an early election has been pretty much squashed, and we're going to have to wait till 2025 for an election up here to get rid of that dictator that's in office right now, which is unfortunate. But I mean, Canada as a nation isn't really going to have a huge impact on the crypto market, I don't believe. But it does suck for Canadians who were hoping for an early election to get rid of, some unnecessary taxes that we pay, and that money could be used in the crypto market. So, unfortunately, we'll have to wait for another year. But that's nor here nor there. It's another story for another day. I agree with both of you. I think there's all kinds of factors, and it's basically a wait and see. I know, Cruiser, you want to see another dip. I wouldn't mind it, but I mean, yeah, it does, reset the markets and get it reset for the next leg up. But I think I much prefer what's happening right now, the slow and steady decline grind reset of the market. And then when the halving happens in 2 weeks, off we go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a slow starter as for when a bull run goes, because all the media and everything is really focused on these ETFs. To actually get retail involved, there's going to have to be some dramatic spikes upwards, and then it's when YouTube and influencers take over, when people are trying to do education about it, and that'll bring that retail into the market. So yeah, I do see a slow start, but I think everybody's pretty much said it's not looking like a 4-year cycle time anymore. I do believe it's almost time where we start seeing nation states getting involved in the crypto market, in Bitcoin specifically, just to burn their currency and revalue their currency, because to do a BRICS reset back everything by gold, it's not necessarily in the cards for everybody. So that news that was going around the other day, where the US government had sent all their Bitcoin holdings over to Coinbase, is that already in the works? I don't know. I never heard anything else afterwards, right?
No, I never even heard if they sold it or not. I have no idea.
It wasn't nearly everything. They moved about $2 billion worth that they seized from various Silk Road criminals. They didn't sell. They didn't move their entire stash,
right?
But they moved a portion of it.
Well, and the other thing too,
majority of what they're holding is stuff like Silk Road and confiscated cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah.
But they don't seem to have any interest in actually returning these cryptocurrencies back to their rightful owners. So at what point do they realize, like, all right, it's time for us to start burning our overspending and revaluing our dollar, right?
You know what I would be curious about? If you were to add up all of the fines that the SEC has collected, all of the crypto that the government has confiscated over the years, and what that would tally up to, quite a bit of money. Now, you mentioned about the catalyst to start the bull market. One thing that we forgot to mention is mainstream media usually has a bit of a say in that. And with the only 2 weeks leading up to the halving, I could see a lot of stories, a lot of coverage on that the Bitcoin halving is coming up, and that may also spark a little bit of retail interest.
Yeah, I think a lot of that mainstream news is going to come from the ETF holders showing this is our product, we're coming into the halving, here's an education, and then until the holders actually get that real education and learn about self-custody and everything else,
right,
it's going to take the volatility out of the market as a whole.
I mean, here's the thing. If we really think about this, let's pretend we're all average Joes in the real world. Okay, we're working our jobs, blah, blah, blah. We hear about this big thing called Bitcoin, right? We decide to do the most elementary, bare bones research that we can do. We actually discover the bare bones basics. Hey, exchanges, KYCing, blah, 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 right? Little do we know at that point, little does the average person know that they have opened page 1 of a 700-page Bible-esque manuscript.
Yeah.
The people that most retail investors are tearfully uneducated, like to the point of self-pity.
That's one of the reasons why we're here. We're trying to educate, especially the newcomers in the space.
But it's also a problem where retailers, in a good world, retail investors would secure upward movement for life. But because they're so stupid that, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about it, because I should say because they don't know any better.
Uneducated.
They don't see the 3x the news told them they would see. They think, oh my God, scam, we're done. Reality is they don't know nothing about hodling. They don't know about why things happen the way they happen. They're just a huge education gap. And realistically, the only way to...
Go ahead.
Realistically, the only way to fix that, my final thought about this, the only way to fix that is to educate everybody from the young on up. Because most of the old people in this world, unfortunately, are too set in the ways of traditional finance to really adapt.
Anybody who's been in finance and traditional sector,
right,
upper
where you
age
get
groups,
8%,
yeah.
where you get 8% a year if you're lucky. Where we can get 20% a month casually for living and breathing air. But
I think we can all agree. I'm pretty sure. I think Chart has been in the space longer than most of us. But I mean, we've all been in for several years now, and we are far from experts on the space. We do not know nearly even close to everything that there is to know. We're constantly learning. I'm constantly learning.
Oh yeah.
Like every week, every month, there's a part of the space that I'm like, that's kind of cool. I didn't know about that. So it's so vast. There's so much to know. So I can only imagine being new in the space again, and kind of just scratching your head, going, "Wow!" It's like you walk up to a huge wall and you just don't know where to look. There's so much going on that you're clueless. So, yeah, education and research and channels like ours is huge for anyone new in the space, because you really got to have somewhat of an idea of what you're doing before you just ape into anything. And I wish I believe it was Chart who said this on today's space at some point. I wish I had somebody when I started out that could have kind of showed me the ropes and not really led me in a certain direction, but kind of gave me enough information, enough firepower to start off a little bit better than I did, because the best way to learn is to fail. And unfortunately, when it comes to crypto, it's no different.
I equate, actually, to add to that, I equate this to, you being parachuted into a jungle, right? You go into a jungle and you got to like find your way back. Like it's absolutely difficult because you have no idea where you are, right? And then that's basically crypto for you. There's scammers like snakes. There's ruggers. There's all kinds of people out there that can take your money easily, quite frankly, and navigating all of that is very difficult. So maybe a platform like yours, like mine, like some other people that are trying to educate is necessary for new retail, like actually receptive to crypto retail, to come in and use the blockchain for many different reasons, whether it's gaming, whether it's collecting, whether it's infrastructure, whatever the case is, because that's where we're leading towards, and we definitely need easier education for people, because I know my generation, I'm about 40s, is not going to be tackling crypto at all, right? We're actually focusing on my daughter's generation. The Zoomers, the Gen Ys, Gen X are out of the question. So only millennials and Zoomers, and I think what's the next generation after that? Is it Alpha, Gen Alpha or something like that? But we need to focus on them, and because they're going to be the ones who are going to be eventually working and getting a lot of money and spending on stuff, and we need to onboard these people. That's our focus.
I don't want to sound like a radical crazy nut job, and I don't want to take up this whole roundtable with insane rhetoric, but I will say this. In order to actually improve the world, in my personal opinion, we need to the maximum extent kids will understand it, educate kids on finance and crypto as soon as they're like 8 years old, to the extent they'll understand, of course, because the earlier they're investing, the earlier they know what to look for or what to do, the better. Can you imagine? Like, I did this because I was bored. I did this once to see if I was 7, hypothetically. I put $500 a month, or rather my parents would for me in this hypothetical, into a Roth, even a regular Roth. By the time that 7-year-old gets out of high school, that would be $200,000. By the time they get out of high school, if they kept it, which is enough to not only pay their college in full, but still have several dozen grand in reserve. So they can actually start their own business, build their own life. Not enough to retire somebody, no, but it is enough to take care of the earliest obstacles. Because most people, when they get out of college, they're already bloody debt slaves.
Yeah. Well, most parents don't have that education and are not investors themselves to be able to pass that down to their children.
It will take a whole ass generation to begin to fix this shit, if we really care to do so.
Now, continuing along the topic of educating new retail investors, Dip, I think it might, maybe sometime in the next few weeks before the market really takes off and the halving is upon us. I think we should do an episode of like strictly education. Maybe each of the guests could possibly give us a little bit of insight on something that they learned. Like for example, you mentioned self custody, so maybe we can do a quick little segment on starting a wallet and your own self custody, and then maybe someone else could maybe if they have knowledge on a specific blockchain, for example, either Solana or Ethereum or Base, which seems to be an up and comer, maybe give a little bit of information on how to bridge, all those kinds of things. I know that that's not exactly for a beginner, but it is valuable information for anyone who's going to be dabbling and getting, going down the rabbit hole in this bull market. They're going to need to know. So it might be a good idea for one of our upcoming streams.
Yeah, and also if anybody who's watching the stream now or at a later date, if you have any ideas of anything you want to see or curious about, yeah, put it in the comments. We read them all and would be happy for more ideas and more to do on the show. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All about education here.
I just want to make a comment on going to what Kurt said about the generations. Although I do completely agree about the younger generations and them needing to be brought up to speed. But at the same time, everybody in the past 3, 4, 5 months that have asked me about crypto have been from our generation. I mean, we're all, I think, pretty much from the same generation. We're all in our 40s, maybe approaching 50. And yeah, and almost everybody has been from my generation, from our generation, asking me about it. And along the lines of the education portion of it, one of the questions I was asked most recently, just yesterday actually, was what's preventing Bitcoin from exceeding its maximum supply? So I mean that is a common question, because people see, okay, Bitcoin has a max supply of 21 million. What's preventing it from exceeding that, right? So maybe that's a topic that we can go over.
Yeah, let's start with code and math.
Yeah.
Maybe not that in depth.
Just that alone would be a quick answer. Just math and code, guys. That's it.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
but anyway,
There's
education.
no Bitcoin head office where people can make changes.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, Cruiser. It's a lot of people in our age gap, and the reason for that right now is that it's our age with the kids and families and working still and struggling with the inflation right now and looking at options to get out. And when you are looking at options to get out, one of the first things that always pops up is cryptocurrency. So yeah, it's not surprising. And you're hearing from the people who need it now. And like
and
Chart was saying, the next generation that's going to be in a position to be able to move this along is a couple generations away, because as of right now, most governments have destroyed the next couple generations' chance at anything.
Yeah. And those of us that are in our generation that do have the disposable income or disposable funds, they want to make an investment for their kids. Right. So we all need to be educated. But
yeah.
I wonder where I fall, because I'm a little too old to be actually you guys' kids, but I'm the halfway point between your age and your kids' age. I wonder where I fall.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure of that.
Yeah.
You're the anomaly.
I have a child who's over 30.
Jesus Christ, I'm only bloody 24.
There you go.
There you go. You guys are late bloomers.
Well, the other thing too is not only are people our age looking to create wealth to hand down to kids, like generational wealth, but a lot of people our age, they've been stuck in the traditional 9 to 5, just getting by, especially the way things are in the economy the last half a decade up here in Canada, just working to get by. And I think a lot of people our age are in crypto to create a better life for themselves, not just generational wealth.
Well, after 8 years of Trudeau, it's an alternative to hanging ourselves.
Is he bad or worse? I just have one question about that man. Is he bad or worse?
He's worse.
He's
He's
insane.
probably worse than what you see on the media
Viewer.
down there. And yeah, I don't know. I personally think he's just got a resentment towards Canadians at this point, because there's so much distaste aimed at him. So
Yeah, it's getting, not to get into too much politics, but it's getting so bad that during the legislature or the House of Commons, almost on a daily basis, when he gets asked the hard questions from the opposition, from the PC party, he'll literally leave the room. Like, he won't answer the questions and he leaves. He leaves the House, and everyone's standing there going, "Well, another day of him not answering questions. It's just a joke."
But I don't understand something like this, because people, at least Biden, to his credit where it's due, he sometimes does actually take questions.
Physically, Biden's always there, but I'm not so sure about up here.
yeah, well, Biden might take questions, but the answer to the question has nothing to do with what the question was.
Oh yeah, and the
Being fair to Biden, though, he's got to hear the question first, right? So let's start with that.
What are you going to do about inflation? Well, when I was a boy, I fell on a donkey, and the donkey's name was Chris. And Chris, ooh, an airplane. And then I fall down the stairs.
Sir, you're walking to the washroom. The stage is over here. Okay.
Yeah. As long as there's no stairs, he might be okay.
But something I can say very, very happily. Tate is over 35. Andrew Tate and was born in the U.S. He can become the president and save us all.
Oh, yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah.
More,
Can we cut his mic? Can we do that?
Yeah. More controversial figures in power.
Awesome.
I think that.
Okay. I think we should wrap it up a little bit here, but just a reminder, everyone, if you stay tuned, watch for the coming weeks, because we are going to get into more educational stuff for the beginner, for retail, and that'll be very beneficial to anyone who's looking to get into the space. Like Dip had mentioned, if you have any specific topics you'd like us to discuss, drop them in the comments on the channel on YouTube and Rumble, or even on Twitter when the videos are uploaded, and we will be sure to cover them on a future episode.
Yeah, and we didn't have the viewers tonight live, so we'll do another giveaway run next week. Hopefully we have some people joining in. It seems to be working fine. But you got to be live to participate. So we will do that again next week. And yeah, bye everyone.
Have a good week.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.